That's where alpha would make the mistake. I'm going to do it. I don't care what she says. Now, some guys are getting too excited on this episode right now. They're like, yeah, I'm going to do what's right. I don't give a damn what she has to say about it. Like, whoa, bro. That's super weird. Welcome to the Family Captain Podcast. I'm your host. I'm your coach, John Michael Clark. On this show, we help Christian husbands grow in family leadership and sex and marriage. So if you believe that Jesus is king, and you want to lead your family with strength and love, and you want frequency and freedom in your sex life, then you're in the right place. We're going to help you build an incredible family culture where God is glorified and your family is blessed by your strong, loving leadership.
Come on, dog. Let's go.
This was my wrestling match. Warm up.
Dude.
Bounce,
Oh, bro, you were a wrestler?
Yeah.
Let's go. Were you good?
I was okay. I won our region senior year in our weight class.
Okay.
But I only won one match at states. I didn't place.
Dude, that's still legit. I remember kids like you in school. They were pretty good athletes. They were super squirrely, like super fast, super quick, super aggressive. Like, were you that guy?
I was very competitive.
Okay.
With crew and with wrestling.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you know Steve Smith for the Panthers years back?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you remember how he would like play with a chip on his shoulder?
Oh heck yeah.
Yeah, that was me. Just like anything I could find to be offended at in the competitive setting, anything like ridiculous stuff. I'm just like Michael Jordan, like you listen to him talk and he's like, and then he said blah blah blah, and I took that personally. Like, and
Yeah.
it's like that was so insignificant. And you're like, it's all I needed. I just needed you to give me anything to make this personal. So yeah, I enjoyed that. And I loved wrestling because it's one-on-one. Nobody can help you. Nobody's going to save you. If you won, you won. If you lost, you lost. And then in crew, the exact opposite. You know, it's like the most unified sport. Everything has to be perfect and in sync for you to win. And if it's not, you lose.
Yeah.
So
expand on the crew thing real fast, because like family captain, you have a wheel behind you. I mean, there's undertones of water in your past.
Well, there's a lot of that. All the rest is a bit more coincidence. Not that I think that there's really coincidence, but all of that is really coincidence. It really came from the book Endurance by Ernest Shackleton. Mm-hmm. I was so impressed when I read his book, and this will go well into our conversation, where Ernest Shackleton's the Antarctic explorer, and I'm going to do the weave. I'm going to weave it together.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to start here. I'm going to come back around, and then you're going to see that I've weaved. And I've got a great mind. I'll remember everything.
But you'll do it better than anyone.
But I'll do it better than even the man himself. So, Ernest Shackleton, when I read that story of these Antarctic explorers, I'm expecting, this is man culture, dude. Not only is this a group of men, it's many years ago, so they're even going to be more manly, and it's a survival scenario. So I'm expecting Ernest Shackleton to be like the alpha among all alphas,
right?
Mr. Aggressive. And bro, when I read that book, the Lord just opened my eyes, because that was during that season when everything I was reading and everything I was listening to, I put a filter over it, and I told myself, this book is about family leadership. This podcast is about family leadership. Even though the intentions were not that from the creator of the thing, that's how I was processing, and I was extracting so many lessons and so much gold. So there was one particular story in there where I'm expecting Shackleton to just bring down the thunder, and I see him navigate it with wisdom and compassion, and it was mind-blowing for me. I thought it's like, man up, do better, try harder, come on, dude, you're going to let us all die? And like they were dragging the boats. The big boat had been crushed, and they had to evacuate. Now they're dragging their little lifeboats still, hoping to make it somewhere with them. And one guy's like, I'm not dragging the boat anymore. Well, everybody else is dragging the boats. You can't let this insubordination happen in front of everybody. I'm not doing it anymore. And Shackleton goes back to the guy, walks back to him, and he's like, what's going on? And he goes off yelling and cussing at Shackleton. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it's about to go down. Shackleton ain't gonna let that fly. And then he just like nods at him and then just walks on and just goes back to just like, What? You mean there's actual wisdom needed in leadership? I thought we could just follow a set of rules. Hey, what do you do when? I mean, I get that question all the time. Hey, what do I do when my wife blank? Bro, I need so much more context.
Yeah.
What do I do when we're dragging the boats in Antarctica? I'll be real specific, coach, so you should be able to give me a good answer. What do we do when we're dragging the boats in Antarctica? Blah, 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 blah. And the man says he's not going to do it anymore. What's the script? How old is he? Well, he was one of the oldest guys in the group. What's his personality? Is he a punk all the time? Is he selfish all the time? You know, like all this stuff matters. What's going on? What's happened throughout the day? Like, and Shackleton had the wisdom and understanding to know this is not a moment. Shackleton had tons of capital with these men. They call him the greatest leader ever on God's green earth. And still Shackleton knew what was needed in the moment. And it blew my mind. And I saw over and over him show compassion where I was expecting just tough. This is just going to be a hard man who's just going to like lead exclusively with power and nothing else.
Yeah.
And it blew me away. So that was really where the concept of the captain your ship came from Shackleton more than anything else. Now here comes the weave. I'm going to weave it back in because I remembered. All the other nautical stuff is just like icing on the cake for me because I love the water. I've always lived on the water. My family has watermen in it. My grandfather is one of the few men who's still making gill nets today by hand. He's in his 80s.
No way.
So, like, yeah, there's a lot of nautical culture around me, and I've been on the water my whole life, but it was really like the Shackleton influence where I was like, bro, we need to be the family captain. We need to captain our ship.
Dang, dude. That's cool. So I'm ashamed to say I've actually never heard of Ernest Shackleton, and I should probably read that book. I know.
It's freaking amazing.
So maybe I'm a beta male and you're an alpha
Bro,
male.
you're so beta right now. I'm actually Alpha Sigma Omega.
Alpha Sigma Omega. Oh, dude, too good. So this episode, you and I were having discussions prior to this, and we're like, look, we need to talk about alpha versus beta. And you have some great things to say on this because I think guys are like, okay, well, shoot, what am I? Am I alpha? Am I beta? Am I in the middle? Like, is there a name for me? Because culture,
or they're too cool for school and they reject all of that dumb stuff.
True.
A true alpha wouldn't care if he's alpha, and then like all the mind games and nonsense.
It's true. So let's start here. When it comes to the alpha beta thing, guys do want to know, but you were sharing something with me earlier that I felt was pretty interesting when it comes to this entire concept. So I'll tee it off for you right now.
The funny thing about it is there really is no definition. It's a cultural thing that's come along, and basically it can be useful when it's useful, and it can be harmful when it's harmful. But it just depends on your friend circle, depends on your circle of influence, how you're interpreting those words when you hear them. And I have seen it all. I've seen, this is alpha, this is beta. Alpha is exclusively good, beta is exclusively bad. And I've also seen the guy who wants to opt out of all of it, which I think is interesting. And I think he typically wants to do that because he doesn't want to be measured, which I think is ironically, well, we'll just say not masculine. I won't put him in a category because then he'll go, how dare you? But I'll say, well, it's not masculine. Why? Because masculinity has to do with responsibility. And we need to measure things. We need to judge things. Women don't want to be measured and judged. The more masculine you are, the more you are open for measurement and judgment. I mean, that's what makes us more successful in business, and there's a lot that could be said there. But all that's manly and manful stuff. I do use the terms, but they're flawed. Like if we were at a restaurant, and you sent your food back, you could be super gracious to the waiter or waitress, and you could say, hey, actually, this isn't that good, and my steak is overdone, and I asked for medium, and it's whatever, medium well, and it's only one stage.
Your first problem is you asked for medium, but
Ooh,
I'll let that slide.
You are so alpha. I'm so beta. I order medium steaks. So I love to use it in the silly context like that, right. As a joke. Is there some truth in it somewhere in the steak thing? I don't think so, but spoken like a beta, right?
Kind of.
But see, that's where it's perfect. But if you were to send your steak back and then, you send it back Like as soon as the waitress walks away, I'd be like, bro, you're so alpha. But I'd be saying it joking, not joking.
Yeah.
What am I pointing to though? That is a good thing to do. You speak up for what you want. I don't think that's alpha or beta. I just think that's being the right thing. Well, I would agree, brother. I'd agree, actually. Like, I don't care. I don't need the terms. You don't need the terms. So for the guys out there who are like, what am I? What am I? What am I? What am I? Brother, I already know if that's where you're at, that you care way too much about what people think. Which, ironically, to answer your question, that would
Is beta.
technically make you beta in the
Would.
in the world of alpha beta. But also,
True. Yeah, it
don't
would.
give a crap.
Yeah.
Also, bro, be so secure in Christ that you're just going to be, and here's what I teach men to be. Well, am I supposed to be alpha or am I supposed to be beta? Am I supposed to be this or am I supposed to be that? Brother, we're supposed to be the right thing at the right time, which is exactly what you see when you look at Jesus. We see compassion. We see strength. We see rebuke. We see tenderness. Which is it? Which is it? Welcome to wisdom. Welcome to the wisdom of God made flesh, actually. And Jesus shows us that it's the right thing at the right time. That's what we're supposed to be.
So the conversation doesn't end there though, because regardless, there is a lot of content out there on alpha versus beta. And although you say, hey, maybe we shouldn't care about these things, we can all agree that there are good things on both ends, right thing at the right time, like you mentioned. So not to totally push away what you're saying, but I think dudes still want to know, okay, JM, if I had to choose one direction, which direction is more like Jesus, and which direction would give me God's best and show my wife and my kids and myself, hey, I'm the greatest man that I've ever known and they've ever known.
Yeah. Well, I would just challenge those guys again, though, and still say, was Jesus alpha or beta when he was letting people spit in his face and punch him? Well, I think that's alpha because it took more strength. Like, well, you can play games with any scenario and spin it to go, actually. And the point is, there's no one stronger than Jesus. And yes, it did take incredible strength. He could have annihilated everyone and everything in that moment. So he did have great restraint, which I just think makes him awesome. And that's why, I don't always label him alpha or beta or anything like that. Was he alpha or beta when he was rebuking the Pharisees and just dropping nuclear bombs on them and calling them out? Was he alpha or beta when he washed the feet of his disciples and took the lowest spot? Was he alpha or beta when he said, hey, you got to eat my flesh and drink my blood? And all the crowd leaves. And he turns to the 12 and goes, hey, you guys leaving too? Great time to leave if you guys wanted to roll out. Well, so I'm just showing I could categorize each of those, and I think everyone listening could go, oh, isn't that beta? No, washing feet's alpha. Any beta can actually take beta traits and say, no, that's actually alpha, because that's where it just gets silly and you're just chasing words around because no one has them defined. But if I had to, if you put a gun to my head and was like, give us some working definitions, then I would say generally in our cultural setting, I would say alpha has to do with assertiveness and strong conviction. Those are the strengths of alpha. The strengths of beta, because if I was using them, like I said, many just say alpha good, beta bad.
Yeah.
And when dealing with the ladies, sure, like in that context, alpha good, beta bad. And yet, are you alpha when you're changing your baby's diaper? Yeah, because an alpha takes care of everybody. Like, okay, bro, then everything's alpha. Freaking everything's alpha. Anything you ever do, I guess, is alpha. But yeah, if alpha is associated with assertiveness, and I wanna use them both as good and useful, then I'm gonna say beta is best at creating comfort. Beta is good at creating the warm and fuzzies. So let's look at our sex life with our wife, for example. If we're looking at what are the alpha traits in the relationship? Well, the alpha traits are the ones that bring the hot and bothers'd.
Yeah.
And the beta traits are the ones that bring the warm and fuzzies. So when she sees you playing in the floor with the kids when you get home from work, and she goes, oh my goodness, he's just such a I love him so much. She's not feeling I want to jump his bones. And that's okay. She's seeing he's just such a warm daddy. He loves our kids. He's so shepherding. But by the way, bro, that also is raising the water temperature. It's building attraction in every way, even though it's not creating arousal in the moment. Alpha traits create arousal. Alpha smacks her on the booty, dips her in the kitchen and kisses her and says, "You are so sexy," and then moves on. And she's going, "What just happened?" Like, that's alpha. And again, if you hate the terms, bro, fine, dismiss them. Shouldn't I play with my kids and dip my wife? Yes, the right thing at the right time. That's my argument. But I can use the terms without getting tripped up by them. But I know not everybody can. So I want guys to be set free from, am I alpha or am I beta? Bro, be a man of conviction who does what he's supposed to do and speaks what he wants and seeks the good of others. Oh, you're just saying be a Christ-like man. Bingo. Welcome to the point. And yet still, I think it can be helpful to show like an alpha, he doesn't get stuck in the friend zone with his wife. He doesn't get stuck in the friend zone with a girlfriend. Like, my sons are never going to be stuck in the friend zone with a girl. Whenever she starts to play games with them, they're going to be like, I'm not going to submit to her. I'm not going to submit. Are men supposed to submit? I submit. I'm very, very, very submissive to King Jesus. I'm submissive to my pastor. I'm submissive to my coaches. I'm submissive, to men who outrank me. And I'm even agreeable to friends and to brothers like you. Like, we just had a big Voyage event with a bunch of clients. We got together in Austin. We had an awesome time. And then I went to a mastermind thing. Like, I want to be agreeable. Like, I'm not trying to be like, it's my way or the highway because I have to be alpha. That's just insecure. And you're trying to, like, present some kind of strength instead of be what Jesus has called you to be. So I think we can make wise and good application. I also say alpha brings the adventure. Alpha brings the fun and the unexpected and the rule breaker. And beta brings the comfort and the reassurance and the stability. Beta keeps the bills paid. Beta Bill keeps those bills paid. Like, yep, he's predictable, he's safe, he brings home the income. Alpha says, here's what we're going to do. Alpha says, like, he speaks his mind in every place, in the bedroom as well. And he brings fun, adventure, spontaneity. Which one am I supposed to be? Bro, be both. Remember how girls used to be, or remember when boy bands came out? NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. I don't know. Those are the only two I know. But girls would pick, like, their guy. Like, I like him because he's and like they you could see that they like themed the band. Like, this is the bad boy. He's wearing black and leather and he just doesn't even care. And this is the sweet guy. And like, this is I don't know, the athletic guy, the jock. They had all these caricatures and girls like, I like that one. I like that one. Which one am I supposed to be? Be all of them. Be all of them, except for the gay one. Don't be the gay one. I'm pretty sure they both.
Brian, right? Or wait, no, Lance. Lance.
I don't know. I think both of those bands had like the gay one that came out at times. So be the whole boy band, bro. Like, what? When? What, right now? Bro, don't overthink it. What does Jesus want you to do? And now you ask yourself, a family captain asks himself the question. He's looking at the people that he loves, and he's always asking the question, what's best and what's next? What's best and what's next? And when it's time to speak up about it, he speaks with conviction. He doesn't go into the negative beta traits. I guess I could break the whole thing down if I really worked harder and go positive alpha and negative alpha. Or we could call it mature alpha and immature alpha, mature beta, immature beta. And then I could say, we want all of it. There's more than alpha and beta. Okay, bro, clearly you're triggered by all of this because it's a measurement, most likely, and you don't want to be measured. So fine, dismiss alpha and beta altogether. And still, you better have some measurements for your masculinity.
Yeah. Dang. That's good, man. On a very practical level, let's just say we're trying to identify, like, okay, hey, I am providing for my family. All right, it's fine. We're able to pay the bills regardless of the 19% inflation in 2024. Okay, so
Bidenomics, baby, we're building back better.
Yeah, baby, let's go. So as long as we're not unburdened by what has been.
I'm just gonna be unburdened by what has been because I know what can be.
I know what can be. That's right. So, So I'm sorry that
we're gonna do the weave. We're gonna weave it back.
Who will weave? You know what's so funny is the podcast he's been on lately. He literally admits the weave. It's so funny.
Yeah, I saw him on Rogan.
Yeah, on Rogan and on Flagrant. On Flagrant, he was hilarious because they straight up asked him, "Who do you think? who do you think tried to kill you?" And he was like, and then he's like, "Yeah." And then they're like, "So you can answer the question?" He's like, "Well, right now I'm weaving." dude, it was epic. Anyway,
That's so
so
awesome.
dude, he is hilarious. Okay, so there are dudes that genuinely have strong women. Okay, and they realize that there are
Time out
areas.
on strong
Yes.
women.
Okay.
What do you mean when you say strong women? Is that
All
code
right.
for she is a B word? Because usually it is. Or are you just saying, no, my
That's
wife's
true.
godly, wise, capable, and thoughtful?
No, that's
Well,
good.
praise God to that second one, but don't use strong woman for code for disrespectful witch. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I think in many cases there are dudes who are paying the bills, doing their thing, taking care of the kids. They genuinely love the kids. They genuinely love their wife, but they are passive in particular areas. Like when it comes to the big decisions that they know they should make, they're living in passivity because, again, we always talk about how the feminine wants to preserve, right? They're like, well, no, we don't need to go do that big thing. We don't need to take that risk. We don't need to build the business. We don't need to do this because we're good. We're good. And I know that there are guys out there who are like, no, 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 no. I definitely feel like there's a calling on my life to do this thing, to leave this job, to build this house, to whatever. And they're not doing it because they're like, well, me and my wife aren't on the same page. Help me with that one.
Yeah. Yeah. So if we were going to borrow from the alpha beta language
Yeah.
and we're going to consider beta negative, alpha positive, bro, you're being super beta. Well, I'm being nice to her. Okay, fine. We'll ditch alpha beta language and now we'll just come back into you're responsible to do the right thing. You're responsible to do what you believe is best. So, in our three legs of leadership, that's what authority is. You have the power to do what you believe is best for your family. Now, there's a lot to measure, there's a lot to weigh, but I'm taking that as a normative circumstance, and I really feel like I ought to do this thing, but my wife's super scared. Okay, bro, we'll be super reassuring to her. Walk her through it. Show her your plan. That's where alpha would make the mistake. I'm going to do it. I don't care what she says. Now, some guys are getting too excited on this episode right now. They're like, yeah, I'm going to do what's right. I don't give a damn what she has to say about it. Like, whoa, bro. That's super weird. Like, you're cherishing her, right? I'm assuming, because it doesn't sound like it. You're being tender with her. You're being gentle with her. That means you're going to take the time to help her to see. I've explained it to her 15 different ways. Were you calm and patient? Did you do it on paper at all? Or did you just rant with your intensity and you're calling it good leadership? Because it's not good leadership if you're just ranting in your intensity and telling her over and over the same thing. I know I'm supposed to do this and that's that. And you're being disrespectful. Maybe she is, but you're also not being as compassionate as you could and should be. So what's the right thing? The right thing at the right time. I need to do what I'm supposed to do. I agree with you 1,000%, bro. Nobody's going to push you to do your own thing more than I am. Or to start that job, that business, or that company, or that side hustle. Like, I'm in your corner. I'm always cheering for you there. And yet I'm also going to be like, bro, what's Becky saying? She doesn't get it. Okay, red flag. Like, is Becky a psycho? No, she's a godly woman, and she's just really too scared. All right, bro, so let's go be gentle and patient with Becky and show her the plan. Show her your budget. Well, I haven't figured all that out yet. Welcome to leadership, my friend. Do some of that hard work up front. I love your personality. I love that you're ready, fire, aim. I'm that way too. But Becky's not, and Natalie's not. So let's do everything we can to be compassionate for our girl. Well, what if I do all that and she still doesn't understand? If you do all that and she still doesn't understand, you're still accountable to Jesus to do the right thing. But at least you can say that you have been tender and gentle and you move at the speed that your flock can move at.
Yeah.
Like Jacob and Esau. So he's going, hey, brother, come back with me now. And he goes, I've got little ones. I've got the women and the children and the young in the flock, and I've got to move at a different pace. You don't move at bachelor pace when you're married, man. It looks different. And is that alpha? Is that beta? It's Christ-like. It's the right thing at the right time.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Family Captain is all about helping Christian husbands to build an incredible marriage and family culture. It's self-leadership, it's family leadership, it's sex and marriage, all made practical so husbands, wives, and children can enjoy God's best and truly thrive. It's one thing to believe that Christians should have the best marriages and sex lives. It's another thing to know how to make it all happen. But inside our Family Captain Elite coaching program, that's exactly what you're going to learn. In the Family Captain Elite, men are not only equipped with the conviction to act, but also with the wisdom to navigate their exact situations. And they get a clear, practical path to get them the incredible fruit that they're after. So if you want to take your marriage and family culture from just fine to incredible, then go to thefamilycaptain.com and book a free assessment call to see if the Family Captain Elite program really is a good fit for you. That's thefamilycaptain.com. Family leadership is a high calling for your life. So what are you waiting for?
When we were talking about masculinity in one of our past episodes, you mentioned the protection piece. And I think in real time, as we're talking about alpha, beta, using these terms because everyone uses them in culture, is it fair to say that the beta is more worried about protecting themselves in many instances when they don't make these moves? Because, I don't want my wife to be upset. I don't want this to look like I've made a bad decision. And they are way risk averse because they're worried about themselves more. When culture would say, the beta man is actually just protecting his family. I call BS.
Yeah, depending, again, I know I've changed definitions like 5 times at this point. Yeah. But if we're just going with like alpha good, beta bad in this example, then yeah, beta is exclusive. Beta's a nice guy, but he's not actually nice. It's all covert. He actually only cares about what you think about him. Whereas alpha, in the positive example, alpha is saying, what is the right thing? No matter what it costs me, it might hurt me, but what's the right thing to do for everybody? Even if they don't see it, even if they don't appreciate it, what's the right thing to do? So beta is very self-centered. He helps you with that project in the backyard, not because he generously wanted to give to you out of the overflow, but because he was scared of saying no. And he doesn't have enough self-respect. Or he was worried that you weren't going to like him. Or he thinks he's exclusively just doing it to store up in the bank so he can now withdraw. Now, friendships are reciprocal, by the way. That is how relationships work, and anyone who says otherwise is just very naive. And Christians have a hard time understanding that relationships are intended to be reciprocal, and somebody's going to want to take me to task on that and give me their exception instead of the norm and the rule. My wife's been paralyzed for 47 years, and I've loved her. I know, brother. You made vows. It's beautiful and wonderful and exceptional. But that wasn't your intention on your wedding day. That wasn't your expectation. You thought that you would both be able to reciprocally give to one another.
Yeah.
That was the plan. And yet you're saying, but no matter what, I will love you well. And I honor that and praise God for that. But yeah, beta is very self-centered in the negative definition of him because he only is thinking about himself. It can look like he cares about everybody else. He's so giving. He'd give you the shirt off his back. Is he generous or is he a coward? Is he scared to tell you no?
Dude, we got to stop there. Because I know there's someone listening to this. They're like, dang, that's probably me. I'm the nice guy who will do all the things. My friends are like, I'm always the one who will show up and do the thing. But, in my personal experience, knowing these guys, they typically tend to be the ones who communicate way worse with their wife. They are never, ever, ever on the same page. And they tend to be dishonest. It's awful, man. It's like you have these super nice people who are going to give the shirts off their backs. But when push comes to shove, like they will be dishonest, and they will not be the leaders that their family need them to be. And so
yeah.
I'm not putting all these labels on this dude, but I know there's someone listening to this like, crap, like that's me, because I have traits like this. You've traits like this. We all do.
That's the thing. It's spectrums and it's flesh.
Yeah.
And today I felt that temptation. Tomorrow I don't.
Exactly.
So it can come and go as well.
What do you say to him? He's like, all right, okay. If that's what a coward is from a beta bad, alpha good perspective,
right? Yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah, man, you've got to repent. You've got to name the thing. And that's the thing. That's why so many men avoid measurement. Nobody wants to be like the cowardly man. The beta man doesn't want to be measured. The alpha man, again, calling beta bad and alpha good in this example, alpha man wants to measure everything. Measure this, measure this, measure this, measure this, measure this, measure this, measure this. We could talk about his temptation towards idolatry. Alpha Alex can have a lot of temptation towards idolatry and like, more. Beta Bill can be tempted towards, a different kind of idolatry where it's just himself, and Alpha Alex is thinking like, when I accomplish, then I'll be enough, and then I can be acceptable and pleasing. Beta Bill's like, I am enough. Like he's listened to Oprah too much or The View or something, and he's like, I'm enough right now. Like both of you are wrong. Neither of you are enough. Also, you should get after it and crush it. But all of that go 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 that the alpha has, it's good and masculine as long as it's the superficial covering on top of Jesus is enough. He is the vine, I'm the branch. Apart from him, I can do nothing. So whenever we're actually in close fellowship with the Lord, now we can go grow your business, bro. Get after it. Go do all of the things. Get in shape, pack on muscle, measure everything out of the overflow of love and worship for the Lord and care for the people that you care for so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to your point, the beta guy, he is dishonest because it's cowardice. It's fear of man is what's going on. Here's the weave, brought it back. He's got to repent. He's got to name it and measure it and go, I am afraid. Man, that's fear. Wow. Oh my goodness. And it can be very overwhelming for a man who's lived this way forever. And he's going, yikes. It can be haunting, actually. And like some bros will listen to this right now and they're tempted to have an existential crisis. Like, I'm just going to go back to how I was before I heard this. And instead of actually being set free, because they've told themselves that there's only two possibilities and there's two ditches. And they're going, well, I'm not going to be and Saddam Hussein. Bro, nobody wants you to be a total jerk tyrant. Nobody wants that from you. You don't want to be that. The Lord doesn't want that. You don't just have to go do all the caricatures that you're mocking. Wisdom lies somewhere in the middle. Just like I expected Ernest Shackleton to crack the whip and say, you will obey my commands. But instead, Shackleton didn't say, you know what, you're right. Maybe we should all take a break. Like, what's the truth? Well, wisdom lied somewhere in the middle there, where he was able to say, I'm reading the moment, I'm understanding the situation, and I'm making a choice for wisdom's sake, not because I'm scared of this guy who's saying I'm not going to pull the boats anymore. Shackleton was not afraid. So why are you making the decision that you're making? Are you saying you're not going to the thing on Saturday because you're scared of how your wife's going to respond? Or are you saying you're not going to the thing on Saturday because you just think it's best for you to stay home? Or for you to go do something else? Maybe it's a little bit of both. Okay, well then strike that fear from your heart, man. And step up into the truth. Hey, baby, I'm letting you know, here's what I'm going to do. Well, I told them we would do this. Yeah, I know you did, baby. And, that's why I asked you not to speak for me. It's very important that you don't. So I'm going to keep my commitments. I'm going to be a man of integrity and keep my word, but I don't have to keep your word. Oh, I can't believe you're talking about whatever comes next. If it spirals, like, I know you're upset. I am too. And I love you, and I'll see you when you get home. Oh my goodness, bro. Oh my goodness. I can't imagine talking to my wife that way. We haven't sinned against her. We haven't controlled her. We didn't even get into family leadership right then. That was basic human boundaries. That wasn't even male, female. That was, you made a decision for me. No, thank you. I'm good. I'm not even going to rebuke you for it. I'm just not going to submit to it. But some guys are like, that would never work in my marriage. Bro, that's so beta. That's such a beta thing to say. that would never work in my family culture. What do you mean that would never work? I'll tell you what you mean, buddy. What you mean is your wife will get mad and you can't deal with the discomfort of her displeasure. That's all you mean. My wife, that wouldn't fly. What do you mean that wouldn't fly? You mean she'd get mad? Well, yeah. And then what would happen? She'd be really mad. Oh, yeah? And then what would happen? She might yell at me. Oh, no, bro. And then what would happen? She'd cold shoulder me. Oh, no. And then what would happen? She might be mad like for a few days. Oh, no, bro. And then what would happen? Like, that's it. Or I don't know, maybe she would stab you 97 times with a knife. I don't know. But still, like, you can't sway me. Like, in a man who can be swayed like that, bro, like, that should freak you out. If that is you, then that should scare you. Bro, you can't stand up to your wife. How are you going to stand up for Christ if you're ever persecuted? This is the motive of my life, dude. Yeah. This is the primary motive of my life. I weaponize everything in a way that I'm sure most people would think is silly. And I put it in the context of I'm doing it for Jesus. Dude, if I can't get under the squat rack and stand up with the weight for Jesus, then how am I going to face real persecution? And I'm not counting on, like, this is like fuel for me. I'm not counting on us not experiencing persecution. We need to live as though we will. Like, every Christian should be able to survive anywhere and maintain their faith. Your faith should not be contingent upon the comforts that surround you. So I want to be able to have my head cut off. I want to be able to be burned alive. I want to be able to see my family burned alive first while they're still saying, reject Jesus, reject Jesus. And I'm going, no, bro. No, rejecting Jesus, not going to happen. Super beta, by the way. And they're like, we're going to kill you. Oh, yeah? And then what? Because that's literally what Jesus said. Don't fear man. All he can do is kill you. That's it. Jesus is like, he can't do anything. All he can do is kill you. No big deal. Fear God, who can kill you and then throw your soul into hell. So men don't fear God enough. You know, all of us deal with that temptation. The fear of man, it's a real thing, but the fear of man is a snare. The fear of woman is a snare. The fear of wife is a snare. The fear of anybody is a snare. So that's why we have to continually cultivate courage, but that comes from fellowship with Jesus. So I go, Lord, help me to be who you've called me to be. And then I have conviction for the thing I'm going after. So then I can tell Chris, no, not to be a jerk, not to go hype myself up because I need adrenaline because I don't have conviction. You see guys do this when they're like getting ready to get into a fight, like two drunk guys or something. Like, it's like shove, 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 shove. All the cussing, like, what do they do? They're trying to charge up because you don't have enough conviction. Like, you come after Natalie Clark, like, we're not going to have a shoving match, bro. You're just going to be dead. Like, I'm not going to think. I'm not going to threaten. There's just no conversation to be had because my conviction is so great. But whenever it's guys with their egos, they're having to charge themselves up. So we have to reject cowardice with repentance. We have to build courage with fellowship with the Lord. And then it's a muscle that you continually have to strengthen. So with the simplest example I always give, when she says park here, just go, I got this, baby. I got this. If that's a stretch for you, then that's where you start. Some of you guys are like, I got no problem with that. All right. Well, just look around, make sure there's no cowardice in your life. Now, if you're really super squared away and there's no cowardice, like, one of my greatest fears is to be a coward. So that's one of the things I always judge myself by. But if your greatest motive is to not be a coward, you're probably going to err and make mistakes on harshness. You're probably going to come on too strong and come on too harsh. Now, I know I've never done that publicly, of course. Right. That's a joke, everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah, but because I'm like I hear the objections coming at me, sometimes I'm like, I'm not going to be a coward. But then I can make mistakes. I can sin, and I can lack wisdom, and I can be too harsh, or I can be too, oh man, there's definitely times like where I've been talking about sex because sex is a good gift from God, and I'm not sorry for that. But there definitely been times where I've been crass. I've gone too far in the name of I'm not going to be some grandmommy in the church who can't say the S word. In the name of not being that, I have gone to the extreme, and I've been crass and inappropriate, and the Lord has convicted me. I'm like, that was wrong. I'm sorry, Lord. But that's where the immature man does. He goes between two extremes, and that's what I've done many times, and that's what many guys do. Like, I'm not going to be this. I'm not going to be that. And we bounce back and forth, and in the middle is Jesus, the wisdom of God to say the right thing at the right time. Sometimes you need to go nuclear on people and rebuke them, but you do it from the right heart. And sometimes the woman in adultery, you're just gentle with her, and you just ask her for a cup of water, and you bring her, great revelation. How do you know? Welcome to actual dependence upon the Lord. He is the vine, you're the branch. Apart from him, you can do nothing.
Dude. That was awesome. Yeah. That ministers to me, as well. Just everything you're saying, because again, we all have traits on both ends, which not always bad, not always the right thing to do. But I think ultimately that anytime we do err on the side of beta in certain instances, it is fear, and it is a protective nature. And what you're saying about, like, hey, if you can't stand up to your wife, how are you going to stand up for Christ? How are you going to stand up in persecution with all of the crazy things happening right now? And as we conclude this episode, I'd like to go the direction of the alpha male and the extremes that exist. What I'm getting at is you you spoke some really, really wise things on the beta side. But what's funny about going to the extreme alpha, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the extreme alpha is just beta in disguise.
In disguise. Oh, yeah, like it's projection.
Yeah,
Like I'm insecure, so I'm doing old things.
right.
Not because like I think that they're good things to do, but because I think you'll think I'm awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
wife is
I
the
don't have a
only one.
motorcycle because I think a motorcycle's fun. I have a motorcycle because I think you'll think I'm manly,
Mm, yeah. What?
which is totally why I have a motorcycle.
Right.
I wanted you to think I was more manly. And I wear the buttless chaps too.
Yes, dude.
Why buttless chaps, bro? Like if you go down, your hiney's gonna get annihilated.
Yeah, we're losing people, I think, on the buttless chaps. But you never know, right? Crazy things.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Wear whatever you want to, guys. I don't mind. But I just want you safe when you go down. Dress for the slide, not the ride.
Dress for the slide, not the ride. I love it. I love it. So take me to the alpha that is essentially in disguise. To all of his friends, he is the big personality, the intelligence, the size, even in many cases. But his wife knows who he really is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean he's probably got some good and bad mixed in there, man. Nobody's ever that simple. Nobody is ever the caricature we want to make them out to be. People are complicated. So maybe he's got some things he's doing for outward presentation and he's doing them really well. Like you still want to look like he looks. He's still got his body dialed in, but his motive wasn't I love the Lord and I love to be strong for my family and I want to be a great protector and I like to look good. Like his motive is more like, will people think I'm enough now? Like, will people approve of me? And in that case, then it's super beta because you're just still trying to get others to give you affirmation. So even in all your accomplishment, in all your loudness, and all your funniness, and all whatever, all the things, are you doing this because you're desperate for attention from someone? And again, that goes back to the identity issue in Jesus. You don't know who you are, man. That's why you're still trying to be somebody. When you know who you are, you can rest and stop trying to be somebody, and you can just be who you actually are in Christ. Yeah, you have a personality. Yeah, Jesus made you a particular way. Be that thing. Be all of that thing, but be that thing in its most mature version instead of, I heard one time somebody said this is manly. Is that manly? Is that manly? Hey, bro. A man, a man is a protector, he's a provider, and he's a leader. Within that, we got a lot of freedom. Lots of freedom. Motorcycles not required. That's not anything on that list that you have to do. So you have to do what you have to. You don't have to do what you don't have to. And you can get into errors on both sides. But if you're the alpha projector who everything you do, like you've got to dominate conversations, bro, you're really obnoxious. And I hope you enjoy the whole lone wolf vibe because you're going to be alone. Like nobody's going to want to be with you because you're just annoying. You don't let people talk or you always have something better, or you've always seen more, or you
The
just
story
Mr. One
topper,
Up.
the infamous story topper.
Yeah, this guy, like, are you super alpha? I guess, bro. I don't care. You can be the king of the alphas, but just go be a king alone because I'm not going to hang out with you
Yeah.
because I want to enjoy you. I want to have fun together. But if you're just aggressive and you're getting after it, I like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
I like this guy. He's got a plan. He speaks up, but he's wise. He'll listen. He'll listen to other perspectives. His godly wife, he listens to her. He doesn't just steamroll her and go, I'm the man. That means you obey me. Well, you're not wrong in those statements, but that's certainly not the whole truth either.
Mm. Let me ask you this question real fast about the alpha. This was told to me by someone one time, and as soon as it came out of his mouth, I was like, "Huh, that's good." But then a pastor told me, and I can't tell if it's a Melvin or not. A pastor told me that's manipulative, but I'm interested to know what you think. This person said, "Hey, I've been married for a long time. Like, you can give her the little things, but essentially you're building enough capital for her to know that you can be trusted in the big things. Like give her the little things. Like, yeah, it's fine. It's not a big deal, but like where we live,
Decision making.
what we do, yeah,
I see.
all these big decisions that married couples go through.
I see.
his play was like, hey, like, yeah, I'll give her all the little things, but she knows that I am the leader in the big things. And
I think a
yeah,
lot of marriages function that way.
yeah,
I think a lot function that way. Like he's still a man at the end of the day, even if he has been emasculated in a lot of other ways. And I think that's cope. I think he's coping with his situation that he's living in, and that's what he tells himself. I might look like a punk all day, every day, but when it comes down to it, I'm the man, and everybody knows it. Like, I don't know, bro.
mm,
So I think some of that's probably some coping mechanism going on, and he pats himself on the back. Like, I let her make the decisions. Family captains, mature, godly, wise family captains who have been at it a while, know that decisions are burdensome to her. That's not a gift that you give her. That's a burden you've laid on her. So again, caricature Melvin right now is blowing his lid and going, your wife doesn't make any decisions? Natalie makes all kinds of decisions. She runs the household. There's a lot of wonderful things that she does because I've delegated a lot of authority to her. And yet she doesn't make any decisions for me. So what this guy I think was describing was I let her make decisions that impact him. So bro, do you not have conviction? That's where I would challenge you. Go, don't you have conviction on that? Yeah, but it's not big enough. Okay. I like Jocko's teaching on that. Like when you have an idea that's 51% good and your teammate or wife or whoever has an idea that's only 49% good, you go with theirs. I totally agree with that because
mm,
it's so slight.
yeah,
But if mine's 80 good and hers is 20 good, no, I'm not. I'm
yeah,
going, yeah, this one's better.
yeah,
What if you're wrong? Well, then I answer to Jesus for that and I'm scared of him.
yeah.
Like I'm not trying to stroke my ego. I'm trying to do what I believe is best.
Mm.
So wives are to submit to their husbands in everything, the
Mm.
scripture says,
You know,
not in the big things.
I'll give you an example of something that happened recently with us. So I mentioned we hit a deer, we had to get a new car, and I'm just like trying to solve the problem. I'm totally consumed by this. And we're looking at Suburbans because we're very limited as a family of almost 8 here as of Monday. And so I'm like, shoot, like we're looking for Suburbans. I mean, these things are 40, 50, 60, 70, $80,000. Man, my kids are going to destroy this. Absolutely not. And we're looking like 2019, 2020-ish around there. And so my wife's pretty set on that's what we're going to get. Well, I look at a 2020, find a good deal. I was like, this doesn't feel right. I drive down the street. I see a Ford dealership. I pull in and I was like, hey, do you guys have any Suburbans? Just didn't even think of it. There's this white Suburban on the lot. It looks beautiful. And the guy's like, yeah, we have that one over there. I was like, what is that? Like 2022? He's like, no, it's a 2015. I was like, kidding me? That's beautiful. That's in mint condition, right? So we start talking about it. I drive it. I'm like, man, this thing drives like a dream. What the heck? So I call my wife. She's very pregnant, coming home from an appointment, very emotional and stuff. And I was like, hey, I want you to come look at this. Come look at this 2015. I think we're probably gonna go with this. She's like, oh, I don't want a 2015. Like, absolutely not. I'm not coming. Like, we need to get a better car and stuff. I'm like, just come to the dealership. I got this. She comes to the dealership, freaking falls in love with it. Saved like 20 grand, and we bought the car. And as you're saying that, I'm realizing like, yeah, man, like that's
So alpha.
well, it wasn't. It was just like I knew in
So
my spirit,
alpha.
man, because I'd been praying about it. I'm like, Lord, like this is a big decision. Like I don't want to get the wrong car for our family and this be a mess. And I'd been praying about it and I felt a peace about it. Yeah, 2015 is not 2020. It saved me 30 grand. My kids are gonna destroy it anyway. You know what I mean? And so that's the decision we made. And she's driving it and she's like, I love this car. Good decision. But I think if I would have been a little more beta, like, oh, hey man, she doesn't even want to come see it. She's not thinking 2015.
Yeah.
Right.
If mama ain't happy, nobody's happy.
Right.
I want her to be in the car she wants.
Right.
Bro, this is a provision issue. This is a protection issue. This is a what's best, what's next. Like, you got a lot you got to measure there. But again, if somebody just asked me point blank, here's the situation with the car, what should I do? I'm like, more context needed, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have coached the way you said. Hey, man, what do you think is best? Be gentle with her, but move forward on like, are you going to obey God or are you going to obey your wife? Come on, man.
Yeah.
This decision becomes really simple. What if he had bought it and the transmission blew up? He owns it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to get this taken care of. Oh, now we got to spend all this money. Well, actually, it'll still be cheaper than it's
Way
still saving.
cheaper.
Still, that transmission's cheaper than the 30,000 I was still going to be spending.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, that's a great little example, man. That's real life, real talk.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's just one of those things. And then you're driving it, you buy it, and your wife's complimenting how nice it is and how it's in mint condition, and you feel good. And you're like, okay, like thank you, Lord. Like you gave me wisdom in that moment to be like, I'm not just trying to save a dime here and put my family in an unsafe car. I believe this is the right decision, and I
Yeah.
don't think she's in an emotional state to make this decision. Being pregnant, feeling the emotion she's feeling, she wants this. She's set on this, and I'm like, well, just come try it. And then, hey, she liked it, and I was
Yeah,
like,
you
yeah,
want your girl to be
let's do. Oh,
happy.
absolutely.
You want to provide something that
If
she
she'd have hated
loves
it,
and
I would
enjoys.
have never bought it. If she would have
Good.
hated it,
I'm glad you added that point.
dude, I would have never bought it. But I
Yeah.
knew she'd like it
But what if she came
when
and
she
was
got
just
there.
throwing a fit and you knew she was just in her flesh and
Yeah,
just because she had predetermined that I'm going to hate it?
right.
Then what would you have done?
I just would have said drive it, and then I would have laid out the logic behind it. Like, hey, okay, here's where we're at. Like you and I both know, like the kids destroy this thing at the drop of a hat. I think we're saving this much money, and here are the facts. Like, don't you agree it's wise to do X? And then, dude, my wife says it all the time. She'll show me a TikTok. She'll be like, "There's all these women saying like, I don't need no man." She's like, "I need a man." She's like, "I love to be led." You know what I mean? And she owns that. And she used to be
beautiful.
a feminist lefty.
It's beautiful.
She's
She's going to walk out of the voting booth and wink at some other lady.
That's how we end this episode. He thinks he has her, but he really doesn't.
I think that Chris guy is a beta. I think his wife's voting Kamala and he doesn't even know it.
Oh, it's hilarious. Oh, it's too good. That's too good. Well, man, I think there's a lot of wisdom in this episode. I think that, taking this alpha versus beta distinction and saying, hey, like we'll play along, but where did it even come from? And I think, like you said, man, if I'm recapping this perfectly, it's like Jesus was the right thing at the right time, because like you said beta brings the warm and fuzzies and the comfort to your wife, and alpha brings the hot and bothered and the adventure and the excitement and all the things.
And I really don't care what you think when it's appropriate.
when it's appropriate, which most women, their flesh hates it, but then they're like,
and then later they go, ooh, I feel something.
I know.
They won't reward it in the instance,
Right.
but over time, that water temperature warms up, buddy.
It's true. It's true. It's good, man. It's good. Hey, guys, again, you're watching this on YouTube. Hit the comments. Tell us what you think. Obviously, you have your own thoughts. We want to hear what you think about this. We are laying this out. Like, Jam is sharing biblical truth here about who Jesus is and Jesus being the right thing at the right time. And so, yeah, I hope you guys got a ton of value out of this. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and we'll carry on to the next episode.
God bless you, brothers. Go captain your ship. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Family Captain Podcast. Now go take some action and serve by leading well. Also subscribe, leave a review so more men can find the podcast and be helped. And if you're ready to take your growth to the next level and you'd like more support, check out thefamilycaptain.com for our resources that'll help you accelerate your journey. And until next time, go captain your ship.